अस्सलाम वालेकुम। हम आज मौजूद हैं लिबर्टी मार्केट लाहौर में और आप सबका स्वागत है। हमारे साथ स्पेशल गेस्ट ज़ैन फ्रॉम रास्ता। You guys know Rastah. If you don't know Rastah,
no, fuck it.
किसी
No.
लाहौरी
Fuck off.
Yeah, so we are going to talk to Zain today about Rastah. His I'm going to say streetwear clothing brand. I don't know how accurate that is, but we'll ask him about that. Or yeah, we'll talk about it.
Hi Zain, welcome to the show. We're
welcome.
Long-time fans, first-time speakers. How's it going, buddy? 3 people with beards on the show.
Yes. It's going good, man. Abhi to bas agli collection design ho rahi hai, and that's set to release in the fall. And this is probably the most expansive collection that I've worked on. I think we've been working on it for the past 3 months, और अब सितंबर में जाके release होगी. तो मतलब it's going to be very experimental and expansive, and sort of get us out of that bubble of streetwear as well, like you were talking, because there's going to be a lot of focus on the silhouette and the line of the garment. So essentially, like pushing the envelope in terms of just, you know, a t-shirt or a hoodie or a jacket, like really trying to experiment with how the garment falls, fabric selections and everything, stuff like that. Something that we did do in Volume 3, but it's going to be even more so in the next collection.
Okay. That's the future. We called you here because, like I mentioned, we've been Durse fans of yours for a while. And we first got the idea that you are willing to talk to people about it when you came on our friend Dijink's show, Murray Mondays. The very enthusiastic but short-lived Murray Mondays, because Digink just fucking stopped doing those. So then let's start at the start of your journey before we get into shit.
Yeah.
A typical generic way is we start interviews by the most cliched tariqa possible, and we ask the person who's here to tell us in their own words who they are, why they're on the show, and how they got from A to B. So let's start from your Zain. You started Rastah apparently with someone else.
My cousin Ismail, yeah.
Okay, your cousin Ismail, who is not here right now because he is in the US.
Yeah.
Okay. You are based in Lahore?
Yeah, my time is split between Lahore and the States, but predominantly मैं लाहौर में ही होता हूँ. क्योंकि obviously factory जाना होता है, studio जाना होता है, artisans और कारीगर वगैरह के साथ भी interact करना होता है. तो जब तक मैं on ground नहीं होऊंगा तो मेरी टीम जो है वो कभी motivate या inspire नहीं होगी. तो इसलिए मेरा बहुत जरूरी है कि मैं यहाँ पे बहुत ज्यादा time निकालूं.
Okay, but वैसे आपका belong जो है वो लाहौर से है.
बिल्कुल sir. So I've predominantly grown up over here, but I've spent a lot of time abroad as well. Like I moved to Toronto when I was very young for a few years, came back, moved to London for a couple of years, and then I did my university in Vancouver for about 5 years. I took an extra year because I was dumb as fuck.
What?
Extra year निकाला university के लिए.
What did you do in the university? What did you study?
Nothing related to fashion.
Right. Yeah, that was my question. So how did you end up?
Political science की degree थी.
Oh, political science. Right. Yeah.
कभी political science जो भी ये सुन रहा है ना, political science की degree मत करना, बल्कि कर भी लेना, क्योंकि फिर उसके बाद you're gonna be like, what the fuck did I just do? I need to go do something with my life.
All right, let's get to the shit. How did you end up starting, partnering, creating this fashion label after a political science degree?
यार हुआ ये था कि मेरा जो आखिरी साल था ना वो मैंने किया था रोम में, सेमेस्टर अब्रॉड किया था.
Okay.
और उस वक्त ना like I was sort of transitioning off into being in Vancouver, partying all the fucking time, and then just going to Rome out of my comfort zone, and it allowed me to really hone into my creative side. And I realized that, oh fuck, I'm supposed to graduate in 6 to 8 months. What am I doing with my life? And at that point in time, I knew that I wanted to start a business, but I was just trying to think about what exactly that would entail for me. And I was like, okay, I have an idea of starting a streetwear brand where we sort of incorporate Pakistani heritage and culture with like urban aesthetic. And I realized that nobody was really doing that. And living in Lahore, but also, living in Vancouver allowed me to appreciate these two different aesthetics from two different lenses. जिस तरह आपके पीछे वो स्टाइलो का बिलबोर्ड लगा हुआ है और अहमद मटर पता नहीं क्या लिखा हुआ है अहमद वीडियोस जो भी so I was able to sort of get these two different things from different lenses and just merge them together. I didn't realize that Rastah would be what it is today. It was just supposed to be a t-shirt and hoodie brand with patches on the back. But then uske baad kya hua ki I started to learn more about fashion, started to learn more about how fucked up the Pakistani supply chain is in terms of integrating labor and artisans in an efficient manner. And that's where the idea of incorporating artisanship to the fullest came about. And Ismail was pretty much in the same boat as well. वो भी अभी university से graduate हुआ था. He wanted to go to med school. In fact, he had gotten into med school and he was going to med school. And मैंने उसको बोला कि भाई मेरी बात सुन, तूने अगर medicine शुरू कर दी तो ये रास्ता वास्ता मेरे साथ नहीं चला सकता. या डॉक्टर बन या ये फैशन वाला काम कर. He dropped out of med school.
Wow.
Dropped out of med school. And his parents lost their shit to this day.
I was going to ask. That's not going to be good with the parents.
हाँ मतलब और मेरी तरफ भी काफी ज्यादा एनिमोसिटी थी कि भाई ये ज़ैन ने की है ज़ैन ने इसको फैशन में लगाया and what happened was that man because we didn't have a fashion background we knew that the only thing we had was our work ethic and what that did was create a habit within us to start working 10 to 14 hours a day.
Yeah.
Okay. And we started to, like make a mark here and there. And now, now we're here. So I didn't imagine we'd be here this fast.
When you started, why did you gravitate towards streetwear? Is it something you were interested in pehle se?
Yeah. Streetwear was always something that, just really inspired me in the sense that a clothing company can take a subculture and translate it through skate, surf, or hip hop. And I think that that's something that happens in Pakistan on a day-to-day basis. You'll see a chai wala or a barfi wala jiske upar ek kya naam hai uska a completely misinterpreted KFC या McDonald's का logo लगा होगा. उसने completely उसको rip off किया होगा. Pakistan में street culture is actually very fucking big. And the incorporation, the interplay of street culture and artisanship is also very fucking big. If you go outside, if anybody in Pakistan goes outside, they'll see कि हर ट्रक के ऊपर कोई प्रकार का काम हुआ होता है. हर फैब्रिक के ऊपर कुछ ना कुछ पेंट शेंट हुआ होता है. And these are all people who are part of the informal sector of the economy, and they transact with each other and they make up our street culture. And I just thought from a philosophical point of view as well, that was very interesting.
So now you're interested in streetwear and you're seeing Pakistani culture represented the way you just mentioned, like literally on the streets.
Yeah.
You mentioned at the beginning of your journey, you were thinking okay, you're just going to do t-shirts and hoodies with patches. So could you go into a bit more detail about like when you said, I'm going to make like a Pakistani design focused streetwear brand? What was the initial idea, which became, I suppose, season 1?
Yeah, so the initial idea was basically using like a bunch of paintings that my uncle had made they were like sort of mixed media pieces with Mughal art, and I looked at them, I thought this was very interesting, and I was like, can we like use these images on our t-shirts and hoodies? And like, yeah, it's completely fine. So the first collection was about Mughal architecture and just Mughal motifs in general. And it sort of did well. And that was the point in time where I didn't know that much about streetwear or our artistic culture either. So I I was sort of like learning as we went by. So if you go back to Volume 1, you'll see that it was just two hoodies. एक वो मुगल horseback वाली थी और एक वो princess थी जिसके side पे borders वगैरह थे.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
And very very simple, like very lean. हुआ ये उसके बाद कि I started to learn more about fashion. I started to learn more about design, about fabrics, about how fabrics are woven or stitched. I learned how to draw and patterns ke bare mein sara kuch. So moving from just being like a apparel company to more of like a design centric company.
But how did you find people to make the first volume, like to actual people who put it together? Because you weren't coming from a textile design, fashion design background. And you were also not coming from Lahore. You moved probably back from Canada. So what was the process of going around to make like the actual nuts and bolts of the production thing? Like how did you find people to make a t-shirt?
मैं अगर तुम लोगों को बताऊं ना कि जो शुरू वाला जो हिस्सा था वो कितना बड़ा एक का कीड़ा था. मतलब तुम लोग लिटरली परेशान हो जाओगे. पहले जो 8 महीने थे ना of Rastah, they were literally just me running around the fucking city trying to figure out what the fuck to do, because I didn't know what the hell to do. 8 महीने लगे थे for me to just make samples and prototypes. If you go on to Rastah's Instagram, you'll see that our first few photos are just like random samples. लोगों ने यूं करके खड़े पहने हुए हैं. किसी फला बंदे के पास जाता था तो वो मुझे बोलता था हाँ भाई मतलब हम बना देंगे आपको लेकिन इतने पैसे लगेंगे और हम ये करेंगे ना. बीच में मिर्च मसालों वाली बातें. Obviously I was naive, तो मुझे नहीं पता था. So it was literally putting myself out there, asking people. One thing that really helped was that my uncle has a background in textile. Okay. So he did connect me with some people, but what happened was that those people were only taking big orders. पाकिस्तान के अंदर एक बहुत बड़ा mass production का मसला है. भाई 1000 पीस बनाने हैं तो लो, वरना हम नहीं बनाने देंगे. क्योंकि high volume, low margins. तो वहाँ से I had to ask these, big manufacturers. भाई मुझे किसी small manufacturer के पास लगवा दो. Small manufacturer के साथ मुलाकात हुई. और फिर उसके बाद ड्राइवर का अगर कोई दोस्त हुआ, उसका दोस्त आगे मुझे बताएगा ये खड्डी वाला कसूर में रहता है, ये तुम्हारे लिए हाथ का कपड़ा बना देगा. वहां से फिर कसूर जाना, उनसे मिलना, उनसे बात करना. वो भाई लेकिन भाई हम तो खड्डी चलाते ही नहीं, पैसे ही नहीं बनते, मैं तो रिक्शा चला रहा हूँ. जाओ भाई मैंने नहीं खड्डी चलानी. और फिर मैंने उसको समझाया भाई this is the business plan and this is why it's different this time. And they were like, oh अच्छा ठीक है, that's very interesting. I still remember हमारा पहला जो कसूर में हैंड वोवन फैब्रिक का जो ऑर्डर था, that was so small, the guy was just like यार मतलब यहाँ भी बंदा टाइम ज़ाया करना है. और आज उनकी पूरी फैमिली जो है, they are contracted with Rastah. The women are embroidering, the men are weaving, and जो एक अंकल जी हैं वो डाई करते हैं फैब्रिक. मतलब fully उनका घर जो है वो पूरा sustain हो रहा है from working with us.
That's very cool. So that's volume 1 then. Is volume 1 then also incorporating, apart from the two designs that you mentioned, the Mughal themes and the t-shirt and the hoodie setup, are you experimenting with different fabric choices here too, in terms of like patches and whatnot?
So volume 1 was two very simple fabrics on the back. एक hand woven khadar आ गई और एक दूसरा jacquard आ गई. ठीक है. Volume 1 में we were just doing hand woven khadar because that's all I knew how to do and what to do. उस वक्त मेरा जो creative envelope था वो इतना push नहीं हुआ था. Volume 2 is when we really start experimenting and wanting to push the envelope.
So you make volume 1, you get all these people together, naysayers, bhar ke, skeptical people all around you. How many orders, how many pieces do you make? How do they sell? How does it go? What's the reaction to volume 1?
यकीन करो जो पहला हमारा महीना था ना, उसके अंदर 2 या 3 हुडीज बिकी थी.
And how many did you have?
We had about, I think we had somewhere between 300-400 of those, and we were absolutely shitting our pants. क्योंकि एक तो we overproduced, ठीक है? We overproduced. We realized that a business model like us can't overproduce. Overproduce करने की reason ये थी कि मैं सही factory से नहीं लगा. The artisans that were making the hand woven fabric, उनके साथ तो हमारी relationship थी, लेकिन factory ने basically हमें बोला कि भाई 200 से कम piece हम आपको एक article में नहीं बना के देंगे. Obviously because I was a new guy around the block, they were trying to milk their money, And Volume 1 was basically just our backs against the wall trying to get rid of this inventory. That's when we went into beast mode. Second month में मुझे लगता है 3-4 बिक गई होंगी. तीसरे महीने में 6-7 बिक गई होंगी. चौथे महीने में जाके फिर थोड़ा बहुत एक wave आया orders का. I think like somewhere in the hundreds or something. I don't know what happened.
And your orders are to like individuals. You're not selling to stores, to people who stock it. It's just people, one-on-one.
It's just people. And then hua ye ke we ended up giving a lot of inventory from Volume 1 away as well to influencers and models or whatever. So we got rid of the inventory. It officially sold out. At that point, I realized that we needed to do something more than just a fucking patch on the back of a hoodie.
Yeah.
As you guys can see, there's many brands doing that now.
Yeah.
मुझे उस वक्त ही पता चल गया था कि ये चीज जो है ये long term sustainability कभी नहीं business को लेके आएगी.
Right. So then Volume 1 sells out. The t-shirts go to
T-shirts आती हैं फिर उसके बाद Intermission 1 आता है. And Intermission 1 was a very interesting concept where we sort of experimented in a way that you had to be subscribed to our email list to buy the t-shirt. So if you're subscribed to our email list, you get a password for the website.
We're getting into like the hype stage of things.
Yeah, it was an experiment that did well, but also didn't do that well. In like the beginning, the first day or two, it did well, but then after that, immediately hype dies down. But we had to go back into marketing, spending ad dollars and whatnot, and that did. And में वो भी बिक गया था सारा कुछ. लेकिन सारी जो game change हुई है ना वो Volume 2 के बाद हुई है जब हमने अपना design aesthetic और business model भी थोड़ा बहुत बदला है.
Right. So what happened in Volume 2 then? By the way, people who are listening to this only in audio, if you check out the video version, we're going to put in like a whole bunch of pictures from these collections that he's talking about, so you can sort of see. तो आप audio सुन लें और फिर video फिर देख लें, बेशक mute करके. Yeah, so Volume 2.
यार Volume 2 में हुआ ये कि जब Volume 1 खत्म हुई ना तो मुझे एक realization हुई कि एक patch on the back of a hoodie इस तरह की चीज़ है कि fine, you're the first mover in the market, but there's no reason why someone else can't come in. So I thought, why not work with the best artisans that we can find? Why not, instead of using simple hand-woven fabric, experiment with making some crazy fucked up shit for our fabrics and then pay the artisans a lot more than what any person in Pakistan would. Okay. So you're basically pricing out your artisans.
Right.
आपको अगर मैं 5-6 हज़ार रुपए दे रहा हूँ, साथ में आंटी जो है वो कहती है भाईजान 200 रुपए का दुपट्टा दे दो, आपने मुंह पे मारना. सही बात है ना. तो मैंने इस तरह से सोचा था. मुझे पता था कि यार ये चीज होएगी जाके कि पाकिस्तान में एक स्ट्रीट वेयर का बहुत बड़ा वेव आएगा और ये लोग के पट्टे जो है अपनी टी शर्ट और हुडीज के पीछे ना पैच लगा के देखो जी मॉडलिंग कराती हो सब कुछ ये सारी चीजें आने वाली है. तो Volume 2 के अंदर I knew that we needed to push the envelope in terms of design and fashion. Block printing आ गई, like hand painted fabrics आ गए, उसके बाद interesting and different silhouettes आ गए, patchwork pieces आ गए, like composition elements, all of that stuff. And that also meant that we were moving towards a different price point, which came with a lot of backlash. So but I knew that this.
I wanted to discuss the price point.
But before that, we'll come to
it.
Iske alawa, but what I wanted to ask was, you're saying you're getting artisans, you're pricing out the competition, is tarah ki cheezein, and you decided on a whole bunch of new themes and techniques and that sort of stuff to incorporate in Volume 2. So talk to me a bit about how you finalized कि अच्छा ये इस तरह की चीजें करनी है, like we have to incorporate block printing, we have to incorporate, how would you say we'll take these 3-4 style elements for Volume 2?
Yeah.
And then also, how did you find the artisan? How did those conversations go? Because again, as far as I know, you're doing this, you're like the first mover in Pakistan, and they haven't spoken to anyone who's coming to them with this tarah ka idea either. So how did the process of whittling down the ideas go, and then fixing your relationship or solidifying a relationship with artisans go? How did these two things go at the time?
So hua ye ke जब Volume 2 can I speak in Urdu या English के अंदर
It doesn't matter.
prompts नहीं चाहिए
चलो
बस
Whatever.
बस यार हुआ ये था basically कि Volume 2 के लिए ना सबसे पहले मैंने अपने लिए एक mood board बनाया. I knew what I wanted to do in terms of just the design aspect of it. I didn't know that I wanted to incorporate block printing. I went to an artisan trade show by the name of Dachi. Dachi मिला लगता है लाहौर में पता नहीं आप लोगों ने सुना होगा
I've
कि
heard of
नहीं.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
हाँ वहां पे मुझे असलम साहब मिले who's a block printer.
Okay.
This guy was selling cushion covers, curtains and चादरें. ठीक है और and I realized that this is the sort of stuff that I would want to incorporate within my within my clothes for Rastah. मैंने असलम साहब से बात की मैंने कहा यार मतलब can we set up a meeting and I said like I run a fashion company let's work and he was like fashion तो मैं नहीं करता मतलब ये चादरें वगैरह हैं आप ले लें like he was dealing with me like a regular customer तो मैंने बोला बस मेरे साथ एक meeting कर लें I explained the concept of him how I wanted to use the prints पहले तो मैं घर गया मैंने उसकी चादरें वगैरह खरीदी और मैंने सोचा यार मैं इससे क्या कर सकता हूँ after that I realized that I wanted to make I wanted to build on Volume 1 की जो Mughal theme थी and use that to have the theme for Volume 2 as well. But I wanted to use his motifs because he's a 4th generation block printer. उसके अगर तुम स्टूडियो जाओ अगर तुम लाहौर में हो तो मेरे साथ चलो मैं ले जाऊंगा वहां पे उसका एक कमरा पूरा छत तक भरा हुआ है of these blocks. Grandfather के भी अबू के blocks वगैरह उसके पास पड़े हैं. So he has a plethora library of these blocks. I meet with him, I sit down and I said, listen, this is what I want to do and this is why it's going to be good for you. Because उसने मुझे frankly straight up बता दिया था कि block printing उसने full time छोड़ दी हुई है. क्योंकि there's no customer base at the price point that he wants to sell. ठीक है? इनकी cost बहुत ज़्यादा high होती है. He used to run a part-time store in Ichra Bazaar. जहाँ पे वो चीजें वगैरह बेचा था ब्लॉक प्रिंटिंग वैसे एक हॉबी बन चुकी थी पहले प्रोफेशन होता था बट नाउ इट वाज अ हॉबी मैंने उसको प्रॉमिस किया मैंने कहा दिस इज गोइंग टू बी योर प्रोफेशन अगेन एक चीज याद कर लो कि पाकिस्तान में बंदा आर्टिजन या कारीगर शौक से नहीं बनता कैलिफोर्निया में तो हाँ जी पेंट ब्रश पकड़ लिया वो पेंटिंग हमें बहुत शौक है यहाँ पे मजबूरी से बंदा बनता है जब बंदा मजबूरी से काम करता है तो वो अपनी क्रिएटिव साइड भूल जाता है तो मैंने उसको यही बोला कि this is going to become your full-time profession again and you're going to be able to harness your creative side when we work together. He trusted in me and that's how the relationship was solidified. Now, how has it stayed that way? Because of the fact that we've tried our best to put our artisans at the forefront. कभी हमने ये नहीं छुपाया कि जी हमारा ब्लॉक प्रिंटर किसी को नहीं बताना वो secret. BBC did an interview with them. I talked to Vice about them. There's many journalists who call me up being like, can we speak with the artisans? मैं directly असलम साहब का नंबर देता हूँ कि भाई उनसे खुद बात कर लो ताकि मेरे मुंह से ना सुनो उनसे खुद सुनो
But speaking of then just taking a step back to what you were saying कि he's not doing block printing stuff because there's not enough money anymore अब Volume 1 और Intermission गुजारने के बाद what did you realize about in artisans की situation in Pakistan as to why they're moving away from truly creative work and doing इस तरह की like things that are more economical and likelier to sell because we have big brands who might not be using them but like इनके हालात क्या थे like why are they not being appreciated?
Our big brands can't afford to pay these artisans in a sustainable way and turn a profit. That's why. There's no, and what that means is that there's no demand for artisanship within Pakistan. Pakistani culture के अंदर mass production और mass consumerism इतनी ingrained हो चुकी है कि हम कोई महंगी चीज देख लें पाकिस्तान में बन रही है वो कहते हैं नहीं पाकिस्तान में नहीं हो सकती पाकिस्तान में तो भाई सस्ती चीजें बनती हैं हम ज़ारा से शॉपिंग करेंगे वही ज़ारा के कपड़े जो साथ वाली फैक्ट्री में बन रहे हैं हमारे दिमाग के अंदर ये एक कंज्यूमर कल्चर बन चुका है इसी को मैं चेंज करना चाह रहा था पाकिस्तानी ब्रांड्स के लिए बहुत मुश्किल है कि आर्टिजन्स को एक above average industry के हिसाब से पैसे भी दें and they also turn a profit that would mean that you're basically cutting out a big chunk of your customer base so हमने क्या किया we worked with these artisans and we realized that the purchasing power of diaspora in the West is much higher and they're going to appreciate these artisans and our unique design aesthetic a lot more because they don't have those like ingrained consumer philosophies कि यार नहीं पाकिस्तान से सस्ती चीज है तो महंगी चीज है तो हमने नहीं खरीदनी उनकी ये mentality नहीं थी.
Okay. And then the thing about people getting in touch with him, like, to unka number de do. I think I understand why that's like a big deal, but why was that something that you were freely doing? Like, would other people not do this?
Other people in Pakistan wouldn't do this because I'll bring it back to that main point. Their artisans are not being paid much higher than what the average salary for a block printer or a weaver would be. Mere artisan ka number le lo, you won't be able to afford him. That's the reality of it. That's the reality of it.
Apart from that, I guess also karigar chori hone wala scene bhi hai. So even if I decide I can afford someone and I want the person who's making your designs, main usko chora lunga. And that's why people are probably insecure about it. Yeah.
That's happened with Aslam Saab before, where I don't want to take the name of the company that he was speaking about because I don't have his permission. But there have been instances where people have come to a shop, उनकी चादरें खरीद रही हैं, स्कैन करवा के स्क्रीन प्रिंट साड़ियों पे इस तरह करके आगे पीछे तो वो उस तरह की चीजें तो पाकिस्तान में होती रहती हैं.
And these are like major companies that people would know of. Had you mentioned the name?
Major companies, yes.
Wow. Okay. So matlab you're seeing, because this is great because you are not coming from a traditional fashion background. So everything you realize during this journey is sort of on the same track that like a novice or someone who doesn't know like me would be thinking of.
That is interesting again how I guess that works in many industries in Pakistan. As soon as you start belonging to an industry Pakistan ki, you just become so weirdly part of the negativity usme. आप कुछ अलग करना चाहते हो, but see, you're still doing something that probably other like technically what brands must be doing, but you're still kind of an outsider, right? Not part of a clique कि इसको खुश करना है, उसको खुश करना है, इसकी पहचान से उस मैगजीन में प्रिंट हो जाऊं. I don't know.
I hate that shit. I hate that.
Yeah. So this is really cool. This is cool. Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna take like a break, and just so that the recording is complete, and then we'll start again. And I think it's a good point to start because part number 2 is now going to be about the difficulties you face, and Rizwan has questions about pricing controversies. ठीक है जी?
Yeah.
So people listening, people watching, we're going to take an imaginary break and then we'll be back in a second. ठीक है जी? See you then. And we're back from our imaginary break. So Rizwan, you had some pricing related questions. I guess that'll come in. So how are you? You said, Zain, that in season 2, volume 2, you will be looking at increasing your pricing to make supporting the artisans more sustainable in the long term. So what were those conversations like? How did you come about with, like, did you have a reference point for the figures? What sort of thing was that? And then what was the backlash that you got? And then Rizwan has some pricing related discussions, so we'll get to that then.
Yeah.
But then.
So the first thing that we sort of discussed as a team was that we wanted to be like a niche focused brand, and we wanted to be somewhere in the luxury category, but right at the lower end. If you look at our prices, they wouldn't essentially be considered like high-end luxury prices, but they still are up there. Now, what that allows us to do is completely differentiate ourselves from any other streetwear brand or urban brand outside of Pakistan. And there's not really any brand that sells stuff at that price point. Uske alawa, what it allows us to do is, like you said, it allows us to fairly compensate our artisans, actually even more than what the average artisan would make in Pakistan. And then what it allows us to do is it creates a customer base that is more focused on design sensibility and fashion in general. So we have a very like niche customer base. तो ये दो चीजें उसके साथ हो जाती हैं. And then long-term stability के लिहाज से ये कि the brand is allowed to create campaigns that are like very visually appealing as well. If we want to recruit more artisans and pay them even more, we can do that. It's something that's also very attractive to investors as well when there's a brand that's functioning like this outside of Pakistan. Because global perceptions जो है ना पाकिस्तान के बारे में वो ये है कि Pakistan is just like a mere cog within the global supply chain, and that's what we wanted to change as well. अब backlash जो इसका आया वो ये था कि the backlash was there, and it meant that we would be targeting a niche market. It meant that we wouldn't be in that mass production area either. It also means that in the beginning we don't make as much money as other streetwear brands could have had they been in our situation and just scaled upwards. We're going for the long-term play over here. So there is this misconception that if you raise your prices, you end up making a lot more money, but that's not true at all. Because आपका customer base जो बिल्कुल ही niche down हो जाता है. You're allowed to experiment as well when you niche down. You can do certain things that like a brand like let's say Outfitters ना कर सके. You can make stuff that maybe isn't going to be worn by the everyday consumer, by people who actually appreciate fashion, art, culture, heritage.
And in terms of like general like ballpark figures, we don't need actual numbers, but how much of like a percentage increase are we seeing from Volume 1?
From Volume 1 to Volume 2, the first thing we did was that we introduced a completely different line of products. Like the patch on the back wali jo cheez thi, that really didn't happen in Volume 2. It came back in Volume 3, but didn't happen in Volume 2. So what we saw was in certain products, there was even like a 2-3x in pricing because of the fact that our costs went up even more than that.
Yeah.
Because to compensate artisanship and to compensate the amount of time it takes to make one garment also increased. So हमने अपना product भी completely change कर दिया था.
And are you when did you become profitable? Was it Volume 1 was profitable, or shuru se hi, matlab you were?
That didn't come till very late, even after Volume 2. So there's this misconception that Volume 2 se na pawa aane lag gaya. Volume 2 was a big risk that we took. Freaking risk.
These are the sort of questions I'm trying to, like लोगों के दिमाग से थोड़ा subtly निकाल लूं, because people will be like, wow, he's charging like 3 times more than his previous thing. ये तो सारे पैसे जेब में जा रहे हैं. He's probably बैरियर टाउन पूरा खरीद लिया इसने. इस तरह की बातें लोगों के दिमाग में.
There wouldn't be anything wrong with that either. What I wanted to talk about, you've actually discussed everything that I've probably had in my mind. Lekin, why do we need to justify the pricing here? As in,
we don't.
Yeah, क्योंकि एक तो this is not like a basic human rights wala mass production wala product that everybody has to own, right?
Yeah.
So you are making your market very small by raising the prices. But the other side of the question is why are people willing to pay? Like, does everybody understand the kind of fabrics you're using, the kind of artisanship that's going in it? Yeah. Are the prices making it an exclusive brand जो कि सिर्फ मेरे पास होगा और किसी और के पास नहीं होगा? Like,
Yeah, that's actually a very good question, and I firmly believe that if Rastah raises its prices, the consumers get to decide if Rastah stays at that price point. At the end of the day, what has happened is that we've built a following that genuinely is interested in that design aesthetic, and they're buying at that price point. Regardless of us having to, let's say in Volume 2, having to, take a loss or whatever, we're building a consumer base around that. And people are willing to pay at that price point. Stuff is selling out. We're getting press. People who actually write about fashion, people who are interested in fashion, they're having their eyeballs on the brand as well. So that's what matters to me. Are our customers happy? Are people who are genuinely interested about fashion, are they willing to spend that much on our clothing? And that's happening. That's happening because we're creating like a genuine connection with them.
Volume 2 then. You've got your block printing Master Sahab. You've got the guy in Kasur.
Yeah.
What's the team looking like at this point? Without going into any specifics, you don't want to. How is the production scaling up? How did the Volume 2 experience go?
The Volume 2 experience was very different because essentially we changed all of our products, right? It was a big risk. If you ask any business person, they would let you know, listen, what you're about to do is a very big risk. And you need to be willing to stomach that risk. And I knew what I was getting into. I knew that what's happening right now within Pakistan's streetwear landscape, where these brands are popping up, I knew that was all going to happen. So it was a very big struggle for me to justify these changes within product development, to justify changes within supply chain, to justify with my partner factories that listen, हम 200 पीस नहीं अब बना रहे, हम 20 पीस बनाएंगे. For a factory to hear that is like, no, I'm not doing it with you. Factory said, the first Volume 1 की जो factory थी, उन्होंने बोला नहीं भाई, हमने नहीं करना. Then I went to another factory, and Rizwan Saab hote hain, and he's now part of our team as well. He saw the vision, but at the same time, he made it very clear to me that when you're making small batches of product within a factory, आपकी prices एकदम ऊपर चली जाएंगी.
Yeah.
किसी भी factory के साथ अगर आप काम करो ना, if you go below their MOQ, your prices can sometimes double and triple. So that's one thing that the listeners need to really hone in onto as well, that if a brand makes 100 pieces of a t-shirt and then compared to a brand that makes 25 pieces of a t-shirt, जो 25 pieces बन रहे होंगे उनकी कॉस्ट बहुत ज्यादा हाई होगी. एक तो इसलिए हाई होगी क्योंकि वो एक बार बन गई तो बन गई. वो स्टिचिंग लाइंस में वो रोलिंग नहीं है. As in, एक दो रास्ता ने चीज बना दी, it's never going to be made again. The pattern cost, the design cost, the stitching cost is all confined to
it's all one time.
Set. It's all one time.
Yeah.
So
this is an example of because I'm a finance guy. So if you want to look up things, you need to look up things like economies of scale, and you need to look up things like absorbing R&D, research and development costs. So for example, when someone makes a medicine,
that's a very good point of view. Yeah.
When someone makes a medicine, there's a lot of years and years of research and testing and ye sab kuch that goes into the medicine. And then when that medicine comes out, all the expenses the company had made for the past 10 years without the medicine actually selling, those expenses have to be recovered. Varna aapki company loss mein ja rahi hai. So when it comes out, there's a patent for 10 years, for example, the medicine is at a higher price until all those costs are recovered. There is a factor. Medicine is like a very touchy subject because you're thinking about people's well-being. But the thing is that money spent has to be recovered at some point, somehow. फिर उसके बाद वो patent गुजर जाता है. Everyone can now make Panadol. Everyone has the thing. Now it's a generic thing and it has no price because no one has any research cost with it. And they're like, अब इसकी ये price है because all those costs have been recovered. So what he's talking about right now is वही economy of scale. एक बंदा अगर तुम्हें 100 रुपए का कपड़ा बेच रहा है and there's for like 1,000 pieces. Because he's like, हाँ ठीक है, मेरा जितना margin है वो छोटा है, but because I'm selling 1,000 pieces, वो cover हो जाएगा and I'll still make a decent profit. Now, if those 1,000 pieces go down to 10, the price for per product to make that same level of profit has to go up way higher just to make the math work. So,
and there's another, sorry to cut you off there, but there's another thing that जिस तरह आपने बात की कि जो उसकी R&D होती है, if it's confined to just like 25 products, that's a big cost to divide onto that compared to, let's say, if you make those 25 products, but then you keep producing them because you validated that in the market. आपकी cost जो है on one single piece is going to go down. लेकिन हमारा ये scene नहीं, हमने एक दो चीज बना दी तो वो बना दी फिर नहीं बननी.
It's like मैंने 1 लाख खर्च किए research and development में. अब am I recovering that 1 lakh over 10,000 pieces or over 100 pieces? तो वो 1 लाख बस divide कर लो. It's math. Hopefully, numerator, denominator.
But, sorry, kind of a basic question here, but then why don't you want to make more pieces of the same design? Why do you want to keep it at a low number?
Why are you, that's a good thing. Why are you looking to not be a volume game?
Because at the end of it, I consider myself as an artist, and I'm very emotionally attached to the design process of it all. And I want my consumers to feel like they're part of something special. I don't want our consumers to feel like ye cheez har kisi ke paas hai. I
so
really
there is that exclusivity, the hype beast thing going on yahan pe, for sure.
100%.
कि 100 पीस हैं खाली और वो सिर्फ इस महीने निकलेंगे and that's it.
The other thing is that it's very hard to mass produce like handmade stuff in the beginning and our team of, let's say, block printers is only 2 or 3. अगर तो मेरे पास 100 block printer होते तो maybe I could have made like 2,000 or 1,000 pieces, right?
And so let's talk about the team. How many people did you have working for you volume 2 के time पे?
वॉल्यूम 2 के टाइम पे टीम थी कोई अराउंड 5 से 10 लोगों के दरमियान.
Wow, that's nothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so and there's like a you know, handmade element in everything that you're making nearly.
Yeah, the other thing is that none of the artisans are like fixated to work with Rastah. They're not like on permanent contracts. They have the ability to do other work as well. So we haven't confined them to just working with Rastah.
Okay. Why not?
So that there's two sides to that story. So that we can also keep scaling as a business. हाँ, जब उनसे काम करवाना हो तो हम काम करवाते हैं. उनके लिए भी बेहतर है, क्योंकि जब हम नहीं काम करवा रहे होते, then those artisans can try and, you know, get other clients, which now they've started to do. Aslam Saab has a few clients that get bed sheets made from him and stuff like that.
Do you think that has to do with the publicity they gained as a result of Rastah? Do you think that had a part in it?
It may have. It may have. From his perspective, it has had a part in it, and I would like in the future, you know, these people are working with us in a manner that they are fully sustained by working with Rastah. So that's probably the best thing, because working with us allows them to be creative as well. Like their creative input is as important as ours.
How do those like decisions come? के मतलब किस तरह का print, like color schemes, design schemes? How does that come about?
Yeah.
Who's making it? Is it like fully collaborative? Is it a small group of people? How are those things working?
It's actually very collaborative. Like I'm gonna have like a directional idea. I'll do the sketches. I'll do the drawings. I'll make the mood board, and I'll sit down with Aslam Saab or the hand weaver, and then I'll get their perspective, because at the end of the day, he's the technician, right?
Yeah.
He's gonna tell me कि Zain भाई ये वाली डाई जो है ना वो इधर अच्छी नहीं तरह absorb होगी. इस फैब्रिक पे ये डाई इस तरह आएगी. मेरे ख्याल में मेरे पास वो ब्लॉक्स पड़े हैं, अगर उसको हम इस मोटिव में यूज करें, इस सिलुएट के साथ यूज करें तो वो बेहतर लगेगी. तो it's very collaborative. इस तरह नहीं है कि order pass down होता है like yeah, it's not like a very institutional setup where it's like top down.
Mm-hmm. And do you think, I mean, this might be putting words in their mouth, but based on your discussions with them, how do you think they feel about their experience? Like volume 2 tak ki baat, chalo, we're not at volume 3 yet, but how were they feeling at this point? Were there initial doubts and fears and misgivings? Were they like, okay, this is working out, Zain sahi keh raha tha?
Obviously they had their initial doubts, and that was very apparent, but at the same time they realized that because of the fact that they were allowed to be creative and have a voice within the design aspect of how things were being made, they decided to trust us. Mera laptop dead hone wala, to maine abhi bas charge pe laga raha hu. So in the beginning, obviously they were uncomfortable, because working in Pakistan, where you're used to being ripped off a lot of the times, it was very difficult to get them on board. But once they saw that they had a voice at the table and they had, you know, the ability to be as creative as us within that transaction, is when trust started to build up, and when like the orders started to come in for them. So agar shuru mein itne rupees ka order hai, aur phir uske baad you see like a 50-75% jump on the artisan's perspective, you're like, wow, maybe I can do this full time again, right? So that was the turning point.
And speaking of orders, ab tumne volume 1 ke baad se you've raised your prices significantly. The design language has also taken a different direction. So how did volume 2 go in terms of like customer response, sales, that sort of stuff?
Volume 2 did really well in the sense that we were able to get the audience that we wanted. We were able to acquire the audience that we wanted. It didn't do well in the sense that jo backlash jiske bare mein hum baat kar rahe the, it didn't do well in the sense that there was money left on the table that we could have taken had we stuck around with the previous business model. So it was good in the sense that it was a shift in the business's ideology, और जो customer base हमें चाहिए था वो हमने acquire कर लिया था, and then customers start to market for you after that. We started building relationships with the press. So from a long-term point of view, Volume 2 did well, but from like a short-term point of view, obviously it had its downsides as well. Like financially, even we probably would have made a lot more money with the following that we had we stuck around with the same business model as we did with Volume 1. So going into Volume 3, I had my back against the wall again, where I was like, you know, we have to make sure that we're able to turn a significant amount of revenue as well, so that we can keep paying these artisans more and we can keep scaling this business. So it needs to be very carefully thought out. Had we not taken that design shift with Volume 2, वो चीज कभी नहीं होनी थी. हाँ, थोड़े बहुत रगड़े खाने पड़े थे, लेकिन obviously हर किसी को खाने पड़ते हैं.
Yeah.
So what happens now then with Volume 3, going in from the success of Volume 2? And an important side note, how did you get to Digink?
Yeah, Digink का मैंने artwork देखा था कोई around sometime last year, and I immediately knew that I wanted to work with this guy. I asked him to meet up, and he was like, ठीक है, मैं इस्लामाबाद होता हूँ. मैंने उसको बोला मैं आ रहा हूँ. मैं लाहौर से इस्लामाबाद आ रहा हूँ, बस अभी आ रहा हूँ. So we set up a meeting. इस्लामाबाद में इससे मिला, उसी दिन मैं वापस गया लाहौर. बंदा जो है दिल का बहुत अच्छा है. He's a genuine human being, and our philosophy for how we wanted to see the designs pan out within fashion was on the same level as well. Volume 2 में collaboration आई, फिर Volume 3 में आई. Hopefully, another one in Volume 4. You never know.
I'd say perhaps. But so what changes did you make going into Volume 3 from Volume 2 based on the lessons you learned and some of the ideas that you had? What was the bigger thematic changes from 2 to 3?
In terms of the business model, there were just minor tweaks that we made. We don't need to go into that much detail with that, but in terms of design, what happened was that I knew that I am not a minimalist. I'm a maximalist. I like to be very creative. I like to be loud. I like different and interesting silhouettes. So Volume 3 ke andar, we completely changed the way our block prints looked. Like we made them these like neon colors, something that really hasn't been done before. Silhouettes change kiye, jackets bahut zyada aur aa gayi, and an emphasis on hand woven fabrics, but not like what we were doing before. Pehle to hum plain khadar bana rahe the na, which is like widely available in Pakistan. For Volume 3, we made hand-woven denim. We recycled fabric. दुपट्टे लिए हमने, काटा उनको, और फिर वो हाथ की खड्डी पे उसको weave करवाया. एक दिन में उसका सिर्फ आधा मीटर बनता है, आधे मीटर से भी कम बनता है. So it was very experimental, and it was just stuff that we enjoyed doing. But also it was very risky, because it was like a design language that no one was really exploring, and sometimes that isn't the best from a commercial perspective, but it's very good in the sense that Rastah started to create an identity. This is Rastah. This is like, they're going to be loud, they're going to be expressive, and that's when you really start to build a fan following.
Even in the imagery, like apart from the pieces themselves, the loud aspect was very visible in the big set pieces, where you had like the multiple models in that living room sort of situation, and there was a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
the whole thing was like super big, in your face, kind of design heavy instead of like clean minimalist stuff. And how was the reaction to Volume 3?
The reaction was very good, in the sense that people appreciated the risks that we took. People who were into fashion really started to look at the brand from a different lens. We got a bunch of press. I think we got Forbes somewhere around that, or maybe it was before. Hype Beast aaya beech mein. There's a few other press mentions coming. Pop-up shops pe, actually no, Volume 3 ki pop-up shops to hum kar nahi sake because coronavirus aa gayi thi. But the response was very good from people within the fashion industry, and also consumers, because now what happened was that consumers could turn to a brand and be like, look, I'm wearing clothes like this that nobody else is making, because nobody else has the balls to make clothes like this. There is no fashion business operating out of Pakistan that is going to be as ballsy, and I can say this with the utmost confidence, that it's going to be as ballsy with its design aesthetic as Rastah. Because at the end of the day, उनका सबसे बड़ा incentive ये है कि हमने पैसे छापने हैं. अगर आपने पैसे छापने हैं तो आप इतना loud design aesthetic लेके नहीं चल सकते.
Alternatively, for them to get that loud aesthetic, did you see people saying, "Acha, this is working for Rastah. They're doing all this stuff. Let's incorporate some of these ideas into our shit. Be inspired or rip off is tarah se, and bring it more mainstream."
That's happened, yeah.
Yeah.
That has happened. That's definitely happened. And I know some designers would be upset about it, but for me, it's the biggest compliment because भाई मैंने अगर एक दो चीज बना दी उसके बाद आपने बनानी है तो आप बनाओ मैंने तो फिर से बनानी नहीं. I'm already done with that idea.
Right.
I'm working on the next collection. So
Right.
if you wanna feed off of our leftovers, that's completely fine. You're validating our concept, and I really don't mind. And that's one good thing with this business model where you make a collection, your consumers buy it, they know that they have it, and then you don't make it again. You're on to the next thing.
Right. At the end of Volume 3, how are we looking at how's the split looking between sales within Pakistan and abroad?
So what happened with Volume 2 was that sales were mostly abroad, mostly South Asians living abroad. लेकिन आहिस्ता आहिस्ता यार जो मैं एक trend देख रहा हूँ ना वो ये है कि पाकिस्तान में sales have started to increase. Okay. And I think it's because people are getting accustomed to the idea of transacting at this price point and being comfortable with it. Because there are consumers who buy brands at this price point लेकिन बाहर से. Now they're starting to turn to Rastah, और वो भी एक consumer base आहिस्ता आहिस्ता से build up हो रहा है. That's what I'm most excited about, where we're going to bring this this design language and this sort of way of doing business in Pakistan, so that other brands are comfortable jumping in at that price point and at that design with that design aesthetic as well. So Pakistan में आहिस्ता आहिस्ता से sales बढ़ रही हैं with Volume 3.
Rizwan, you had a bunch of questions that we were discussing yesterday. Are any of those left at this point?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, like, what are your inspirations in designers and stuff? Like, who inspires you?
Yeah, a few of my biggest inspirations would have to be Alexander McQueen, Dries Van Noten, Karl Lagerfeld, 100%, and then from streetwear it would have to be, I want to say Virgil Abloh in the beginning when he when he moved the needle in terms of what is street and what is luxury. He's the guy who did it. We wouldn't have imagined a black man being the creative director of a fashion house like fucking Louis Vuitton. कभी हम सोच नहीं सकते थे कि इस तरह की कुछ चीज होगी. And then you have people like Kirby from Pierre Moss. Pierre Moss is another brand that is really moving the needle. Right now, Amiri is doing really well. Bodhi is another brand outside of New York that is making one-off vintage pieces using leftover textiles from like 20-30 years ago. So maybe like your dad's postman's like jacket, using that to make like a new reinterpreted version of a jacket. So fashion is moving more towards conversation, towards ideology and design aesthetic. Yeah, this is what I like to wear. You might hate it, but this is what I like to wear. At the end of the day, that's what it's supposed to be about. Not everyone is supposed to like a brand, and if everybody is liking a brand, that's a very bad thing. It's about having a conversation, right? McQueen was very much like that. If you look at his shows, if you look at the amount of nudity and fucked up shit that happened in his shows, he didn't care because he knew that he was being honest with his design aesthetic.
And that in itself was the statement he was looking to make. Also, you mentioned at the very start of this conversation, we're getting pretty much to the close now. You mentioned that one of your biggest things was Pakistan ki supply chain ke halat. Based on your journey so far, and then we're going to talk a bit about the future with Volume 4, what were the biggest, just to recap if we've talked about them already, what were the biggest challenges you faced from a supply chain perspective? How did you solve them? And wider scale pe, what are the major problems that you've seen in Pakistan that might not exist outside, and which are hindrances for people starting businesses like this?
For me, it was finding a good supplier, finding a way to work with artisans in a sustainable way. इस तरह नहीं कि मुझे तुम बोलो यार मैं उसको जानता हूँ, वो artisan को जानता है, मुझे पैसे दो मैं तुम्हें कपड़ा करवा दूंगा. मुझे क्या पता तुमने उसकी कितनी की होगी आके कपड़ा लेने में. मतलब you might have ripped that person off. So there's a lot of middlemen within Pakistan supply chain. There's a lot of friction. उसकी वजह ये है कि पाकिस्तान का जो informal sector है वो बहुत बड़ा है. I think it's somewhere around 56 to 60% और ये सारे जो सप्लायर्स और वेंडर्स जो हैं और आर्टिजन हैं सारे इनफॉर्मल सेक्टर में गिरते हैं. जब आप इनफॉर्मल सेक्टर में आ जाते हो तो आपकी सप्लाई चेन में फ्रिक्शन बहुत ज्यादा आ जाती है, मिडिल मैन बहुत ज्यादा आ जाते हैं. So that's something that we need to collectively work on, making our supply chains more efficient in the way that designers are connected to artisans, designers are connected to manufacturers, and how designers are connected to people who get the cotton from, let's say, the fields and whatnot. That's something, I'm going to be very honest, that's something that even we don't do. Rastah has a long way to go. Like we're not even halfway to being where we want to be. To create like a fully sustainable supply chain, you need to go back into like the roots of everything. तो पाकिस्तान की सप्लाई चेन में यार फ्रिक्शन बहुत ज्यादा है, मिडलमैन बहुत ज्यादा है. यही मसला मुझे आया था और इसी वजह से हमारी जो फैशन इंडस्ट्री है, जब कोई नई ब्रांड आती है तो नहीं ग्रो कर पाती क्योंकि लोगों को पता नहीं होता कि किधर से चीज बनानी है, कैसे बनवानी है.
Yeah. Okay. And then I suppose a good point to segue in towards the end of this is, having learned all these lessons that we've talked about from volume 1, 2, 3, and then your experiences with customers, with people, all the naysayers, what are you taking with you? You can't obviously talk about, I suppose, the design language of volume 4, but what are you taking with you? What are your plans for volume 4? Can you give a date as to like when it's coming out? I think you mentioned fall earlier.
Yeah.
Is there something people should expect? Are you keeping it fully under wraps? What does that look like?
Volume 4 is going to push the envelope in terms of how Rastah is perceived, because it's going to be a much bigger collection. It's going to be 30 plus pieces.
Okay.
It's 12 to 14 hours of work days from myself and my team every single fucking day. And it's incorporating other artisans as well from different backgrounds. Very experimental, very from the heart, and something that a lot of people will relate to, but then a lot of people won't relate to. Like you said, September mein aayegi, so I'm really looking forward to it. We're almost done with most of the stuff. Now it's like editing and fine tuning it. I'm very excited about it. I'm very, very excited about it because collection बढ़ रही है and we're moving closer and closer to being a fashion brand than just like a t-shirt and hoodies brand.
Are you looking to, जैसे we have Digink, and again, you don't have to go into specifics, but is this something you're looking to perhaps experiment with more in the future? Like artists and visual artists and stuff that you find perhaps online on the internet, incorporate their work with like limited runs, or get people from Pakistan ke fashion institutes or something. Is that something you're looking to do in the future?
100%, and you guys are going to see more of that in volume 4 for sure. That's going to happen in volume 4. It's going to happen in the future as well. तो वो चीज definitely हमारे मॉडल के अंदर शामिल है.
Yeah, just in reference to something we talked about earlier about the brand pieces kind of being exclusive to consumers, जो थोड़े से लोग हैं जो खरीद रहे हैं. Do you think there's some future for reselling in Pakistan? जैसे दूसरे मुल्कों में कुछ streetwear brands का होता है. Do you think Rastah being resold online or somewhere like?
It's happened. There's certain Rastah pieces that have been resold online. And I can tell you right now that 3 things are going to happen. Streetwear is going to become a very big thing within Pakistan. We're going to see a centralized platform for streetwear related media or retail, kind of like Hypebeast or Farfetched. And number 3, there's going to be a reselling culture around that. Maybe not now, but in 5-10 years, ye cheez hoegi. Likhwa lo.
All right, Likhwali.
Okay.
We got it on video. Good, man. I think this was a great talk. I had listened to your discussion with Digink also, and then we spoke about Rastah when Digink came on the show. So I think this was great to have you on. Is there anything that you really specifically wanted to put out there, or do you think we've covered everything so far?
नहीं, बस यही अपने haters को सलाम जी. Thank you. मेरी तो देखो दावत.
I like how you deal with people online. Hate on the internet. We talk to internet creators a lot. Hate is sadly but understandably a very common topic of discussion. And I've seen several of your interactions over the past couple of weeks. जब ये pricing के पढ़ने चल रहे थे.
मेरा पता है, मेरा सिर्फ एक point उस creative का ये था, और मैं बिल्कुल नहीं चाहता कि मैं कोई बुरी बात करूं, इंशाल्लाह उसका करियर बहुत आगे निकले, लेकिन मुझे एक चीज बताओ, आपसे मैंने 2 साल पहले बात की, आप अभी जाके वो बात छेड़ रहे हो। मैंने तो उसको इतना बोला कि भाई हमारी कॉन्वर्सेशन प्लीज मेक इट पब्लिक, प्लीज मेक इट पब्लिक, वरना लाइक let's have everybody else analyze this conversation. This is before Rastah ever produced a single piece, Volume 1, when we didn't have anything. This is a bootstrapped event. मैं आपको कहाँ से पैसे दूं जब मेरे पास literally I didn't have money to get photographs taken, so I had to take the photographs myself. That's why they were so shit, और पहले महीने में सिर्फ 2-3 hoodies बिकी थी. So
but no, I mean, it's good. What I was saying was, I mean, you're not shying away from the conversations, but you're also not reacting in a way that's like fueling it even more. And I think that's a good way to deal with things for you personally.
Especially looking at some very recent situations that we've seen on social media.
Tweet कर दे, उसको retweet कर दे, वो news बन गई है.
Yep.
That concept is just like so.
It's not real. People spend way too much time and effort on Twitter, and they give it way too much importance. It's not real. Pakistani politicians se leke vloggers and bloggers and influencers. I mean, fucking just chill the fuck out. Zain, I think this was good. It would have been good to have Ismail on, maybe when you come back, hopefully. But
I think he has an interesting perspective as well. Like you said, moving away from medicine into like a career like fashion, that could be an interesting conversation.
Yeah. Chalo ji, I'm at the Mohalla par. Zain, where can people find you on the internet?
Instagram pe hum Rastah official, RASTAH, and then official, and I think we don't have a Twitter. My personal Instagram is Zainu_95, ZAIN00_95.
That's Rizwan Pelwan. Sarkhail Seven Khan has gone back to work. We're recording on a Sunday. Sunday is a working day in the UAE, and apparently he has a job. We talked about it in the last podcast, but he has a job. He's gone to that job.
He's a welder.
Yeah. उसको भी हम artisan कहना शुरू कर देंगे. Okay, ji. Zain, thank you very much. Thank you everyone for listening, watching at TPR Pod, group account everywhere. I'm going to stop recording. This is great. And we'll see you soon.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. Cheers.